There's a power within you. It lifts your life to its highest level. It brings success, companionship, health, happiness, and peace of mind. And as you step into this power, it responds to you because this power is within you. And that is why spirituality rocks. Welcome to this episode of Spirituality Rocks. I'm Karen Giganti. I'm a staff minister at the Center for Spiritual Living in Hicksville, Long Island, New York. And I'm filling in today for Dr. Janine Burns, who is at a conference in Arizona. She, I think, is a keynote speaker, so she's out doing wonderful things. And so I have with me today in the studio a dear friend and a practitioner also at our center, Barbara Grimminger. So welcome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to be here, as always. It's always fun,
Yes,
interesting.
Isn't it? It
Yeah.
really is. And so we welcome you, we bless you, and we're so glad you're here with us this evening. And later on, we have back by popular demand, a beautiful, wonderful person, fabulous author, Dr. Harry Morgan Moses. And he wrote the very popular book, It's So Easy When You Know How. And now he has a new book that's just come out called Obvious Power. So we'll be talking about that later. In the meantime, I know every week Dr. Janine reminds us that the world is undergoing a rapid spiritual transformation. And the mission of Spirituality Rocks is really to teach practical spirituality. That is what we do here each and every week. We teach practical spirituality and new thought principles. Not new age. What we teach is new thought, and it's a big difference. And some of you may not be aware of that because I've had the same experience myself when I go into a bookstore. The books that we teach and that the authors that we have on here sometimes are found in the new age section of a bookstore. So just know that what we're really bringing to you each week is new thought. And what new thought is what we teach here is that there is one ultimate loving, invisible energy, one presence that exists. And you can call it whatever you want. You can call it God, Spirit, infinite intelligence, divine wisdom. It really doesn't matter what name you give it. As long as you just recognize that there is this invisible power within you. And it's not a personality outside of us. It is within each one of us. And what we're teaching here is that we can use this power to create the beautiful, healthy, abundant lives that everyone is entitled to. Everyone's included in this divine plan. Nobody's left out. And so what we teach is that we co-create with God and that our thoughts create our realities. And when we align our thoughts with the perfection of God, which is that higher absolute level of infinite possibilities, we can heal sickness, we can break away from lack and limitation, and we can at that point choose a way of living and being in the world that is joy-filled and powerful. And you know, the other thing is we can feel peace no matter what seems to be going on around us, because we know that we have that power within us to change whatever it is that seems to be going on. And so we'll be talking more about that later this week and every week to come, because this is what we're here for. We just, right, Barbara? We love these ideas. We've used them in our own lives. We teach it all the time. We're very, very dedicated to just bring you a wonderful show that empowers you and moves you forward and makes your life so much better. And so, again, Reverend Janine each week reminds us that what we believe is that we live in an abundant, unlimited universe, and that within us lies all the wisdom, all the love, and all the power that we need to create that powerful, prosperous life. And so, in line with that, what I'd like to take a moment to talk about today I know a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Janine was talking to us about self-care at the beginning, and that was a show that
Right.
you were on.
Right, extreme self-care.
Extreme self-care. And it's so important. Barbara and I were talking before the show started about how when we hear this, change your thinking, change your life, well, it all sounds so wonderful. But if you're exhausted, if you're not eating properly, not getting enough exercise, doing all those things that take care of yourself, and really that's where spirit is. Spirit is within you. So when you're honoring yourself, you're honoring the wisdom that created you. So if you can see it that way, that it's not, it's not noble to say not me. You need to take care of yourself first. And then everyone around you. You're that much better able to take care of everyone around you. So one of the aspects of self-care is to get enough sleep, enough rest. And at our center, at the Center for Spiritual Living in Hicksville, the last 4 weeks, the next month or so, our talks are based on a book by Dr. Joseph Murphy, and it's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And one of the things that Dr. Murphy talks about is sleep. And what he says is that there's a chapter called Your Subconscious Mind and the Wonders of Sleep. And I think before I get into that, because we're talking about sleep, getting rest, yes, that's very important to keep your body well and to keep your mind alert, because it's very difficult to focus when you are sleep deprived, okay? But in addition to that, there are tools that we can use when we are ready to go to sleep that will enhance our lives. And what we're doing is instructing our subconscious mind. And so I think first of all we should talk a little bit about the subconscious mind.
Right. It just brought to mind that very often we think when we're sleeping that our mind is inactive. Other than dreaming, we think, okay, the mind is inactive.
Right.
But there's so much going on when we're sleeping. The body is still, the subconscious mind is the builder of the body, the healer of the body. So all of that is taking place without our interference.
Hearts are beating.
Yes, our cells are being repaired. Everything we've taken in is being utilized properly. So that's taking place. And the subconscious mind, that's the creative aspect of our mind, and that's busy taking all the direction that our conscious mind has given it all day and building our lives from it.
Right, we call the subconscious the builder of the body.
The builder of the body. So there is a lot going on, and it's important to get that rest. And like you were saying, there's tools you can use. You can actually utilize the power of your mind, direct it while you're sleeping.
Another point I wanted to make is that our conscious mind directs our subconscious mind.
Exactly.
Our subconscious mind is actually a servant of our conscious mind.
Exactly.
So when we are drifting off to sleep and instructing our subconscious mind with our conscious mind what it is we'd like to create. And so what Dr. Murphy was talking about in his book is what he says is your future is in your mind now, based on your habitual thinking and beliefs. And so what we need to do is claim that infinite intelligence leads and guides you, and that all good is yours, and then your future will be wonderful. And so you believe it and you accept it. And how do you do this? As you're drifting off to sleep, you start to get the feeling of being surrounded by the conditions you'd like to have in your life. And what you suggested before, Barbara, was a very good idea about writing a few things down before you go to sleep.
Right. It's a good way to just get clear on what you want, because as you're going off to sleep, we had a minister who used to call it the errors and omissions report. Many of us go to sleep thinking, I should have done this, I should have done that, this didn't work out. And that's not, number one, a restful way to sleep, but it's not what you want to be setting up for the next day and for the rest of, for your future.
Right.
So if you tend to be like that, you can write out yourself a little vision statement with like you were saying, the conditions. What are the qualities you want to be experiencing the next day? Like you said, wake up. How will it feel to wake up being happy I'm going to work? How will it feel to wake up feeling really well rested and that my body has just really been healed overnight?
Yes.
And get all of these positive, affirmative ideas in place and agree with them as you're drifting off to sleep.
And you can do it one day at a time.
Exactly.
Each day, each night, you get into the habit. And it takes a while. So, it'll take you a couple of few weeks to, if you really put your attention and make up your mind to do this, to every night remember, keep the book next to your bed or something to remind you, oh yes, I need to see myself doing what it is if you're looking for a job, if you need a healing, if you'd like a new relationship, get the feeling of what it would be like I was saying before, if you're looking for a new job, get the feeling of what it would be like to wake up in the morning and you can't wait to get to work. You're so excited. What would it feel like to have enough money to do whatever it is you'd like to do when you'd like to do it? Get that feeling. Think about it. Picture it. Imagine it. And that's what you're creating. And what you're doing is you're instructing your subconscious mind. And then allow the subconscious mind, the universe, to bring into your experience whatever needs to happen. The right people will show up, the right situations. You'll get clues, hunches, ideas. That's spirit speaking to you.
Right.
And pay attention.
Right. And the subconscious mind also is that field of infinite ideas and infinite potential, possibilities. So your subconscious mind is connected to the one mind, and just by allowing it and kind of giving spirit a channel to follow, spirit can draw to you possibilities you never would have dreamed of.
Exactly.
We have limited conscious ideas, but spirit has unlimited ideas, and they're all available to us if we are open to them.
If we're open. We think we know everything. We always think we know it can't work out or it has to look this way. And if we can just, like Emerson would say, get our bloated nothingness out of the way, which sounds a little rude, but if you can think of it that way, get your lower thinking, your habitual ways of always dealing with a situation out of the way, and allow yourself to just get clear on what it would feel like, and then allow spirit to bring that into your experience. So,
And the other thing is that spirit also thinks in pictures, and spirit responds to feelings. So if you can picture in your mind,
yes, your imagination.
Use your imagination.
Yes. Yeah.
It makes it rich for you.
Yeah. It's so true. And we've all had examples of it. We've had examples of even small things like, if you'd like to take a vacation, see yourself in that place. Feel what it would be like to, walk out onto that beach or visit those museums or do whatever it is that would speak to you and make you happy in that area, on that vacation. And if you keep doing that, before you know, one day you're going to see yourself there.
Exactly.
And you may wonder how you got there. So having a break now. Is it time for a break? Okay. So we're going to have a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am
I am Tom Mealy for the Harrison Law Group, and I have been telling you for years that getting involved in an automobile accident is no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. If you've been involved in an accident of any kind, and you go to a law firm that says you have no case, it's simple. It's because they can't do it and they don't get it. You need to call us directly at 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. We're so happy that you're here with us this afternoon. And we have with us today Dr. Harry Morgan Moses. And Dr. Harry is the spiritual director of Spirit Works Center for the Center for Spiritual Living in Burbank, California. He's also a nationally recognized author, speaker, and motivational trainer. And Dr. Harry's message really empowers people to achieve greater emotional health, success, and creativity by showing how shifts in attitude establish genuine fulfillment. And he's the author of the wonderful book, It's So Easy When You Know How. And now his latest book is called Obvious Power, 25 Habitudes, I think this is a word Dr. Harry made up, that shift your thoughts into action. And he is a frequent guest on this show, and we're always delighted to have him. Now, right now, he's not on Skype. We're still having a little technical problem here. So as soon as that's resolved, you'll get to see Dr. Harry's cute little face. But in the meantime, we do have him on the phone, so you'll be able to hear him, and we'll have a wonderful conversation, and we're just excited to speak with him about both of his books. Once again, I want to introduce my co-host today, my good friend Barbara Grimminger, who is a practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living here on Long Island, New York, in Hicksville. So welcome Barbara, and welcome Dr. Harry. It's so nice to have you on the show again.
It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm actually looking at you.
Oh, are you? Oh, hi.
Hello.
So, there's so much to talk about. We really don't know where to begin. We can start with, if you want to talk about your new book first, or I'm excited to find out, to hear you explain to everybody what a habitude is. That's
Intriguing.
That's
Yes.
really a good place to start.
I think so.
It is a new book. It's available from Divorce. It's available on Amazon. You can get anywhere. It's
Yeah,
called
I got it on my Kindle.
Obvious Power, and when we get the cameras up, I'll show you a
Okay.
copy of it.
Good.
Anyway, you're right. It was a word I made up, and in fact, it's a word that you guys were talking about subconscious earlier. It was a word that my subconscious made up as I was thinking one day, and then somebody said, "Wow, that was an interesting word," because as soon as I heard myself say it, I said, "Well, what I meant is the combination of your habits and attitudes."
Right.
And
Good.
that's what, of course, habitudes is. And what we all know is every one of us have a habit, and habit is what we do. That's an action. It's how we do something. We're in the habit of having a hot beverage in the morning. We're in the habit of brushing our teeth. Hopefully we have good habits.
Yes.
We have good habits, bad habits, any kind of habit. But a habit is created by a repetition of thought.
Right.
The repetition of thought followed by an action, thought followed by an action, thought followed by an action. And what it actually does is creates a neural synapse in your brain. And therefore, when that stimulus comes in, the automatic response is to go to what we call the habitual response. Well, that habitual response is actually a neural pattern that we established, just as you guys were talking about earlier. By means of repetition, we gave that to our subconscious, and it now believes that's the truth, right?
Right.
Well, an attitude is the way we receive things. That's what we do. An attitude is the way we receive it.
Yes.
So, like, there's an expression now, and it's being accepted across the world of cyberspace. And the expression says, when you see all caps in a email, that people are yelling.
Oh.
Well,
Yes.
that may or may not be the truth. Sometimes people may be trying to emphasize a particular point. But if you're of the belief, your attitude is that when people make caps on the email, they're yelling, then the way you receive any email in caps is going to be filtered through your attitude.
Yeah.
See how that works?
Exactly.
So,
And you may
so
not
we
be
say,
right.
well, you know, are people are in a good mood? Well, the question is, is your attitude to look into the day to expect it to be good, or is your attitude that you expect it to be another bad hair day with a couple of good moments in it?
Yeah, that's true.
All depending on how you establish that within your consciousness, because attitudes are established the same way habits are, through repetition of thought.
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah.
the repetition of thought and validating. We go to validate whatever we believe is so.
Yeah. Well,
We
if they're
believe
serving you, they're okay.
Lightning. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if those habits are serving you, they're okay. They're good habits.
That's correct. And what people don't know is that's a mechanism. So if we say I'm in a terrible habit, you know, we have habits that aren't good for our body. I never exercise. I mean,
Yeah.
that's in the habit of sitting. That's too much sitting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some people, that's true, think that's just the way I am, you know, or that's
No.
just the way I
And
react
that's the
or
way
I
you
think.
trained yourself to be. And you see, just as you guys were talking earlier, and I love that book by Joseph Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Murphy.
The power of your
Because that's
subconscious
what,
mind.
you know, we changed the words over this 150 years that we've been discovering these ideas. We changed the words according to trends.
Yes, that's true. And that's how people, well, today can understand what it is these great teachers from years ago were talking about. We have to make
Right, but
it,
the bottom line is, just as you were both saying, the subconscious is in fact what creates your experience. And the subconscious is, you think it's you, but it's just the you that you've established. It doesn't have to be the you, and you can change it.
right. Well, there's the key right there. There's the big key right there. You can change it. Because what I was just referring to before is I've heard people many times in different situations in life say, and I was one of them myself, where I thought, this is the card I've been dealt. This is who I am. This is how I react to certain situations. And until you really understand that, okay, this may be how you are now, but you can change. You can absolutely change. And as Dr. Harry wrote in his book, it's so easy when you know how. So in your other book, well, it's all
If you
one.
know how, it's not so easy.
No, it's not so easy. It's not so easy, but it's
we often say
doable.
that teaching is simple, but it's not easy
No,
because it requires that we get conscious in our lives.
yes, yeah, definitely. Get conscious and aware of what it is you're putting your attention on, what it is
That's
you're
correct.
thinking about.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
And so this book, this obvious power, is what we see is when you begin to use these mechanisms of habits and attitudes and begin to create them the way you want them. You know, as you said, this one says the 25 habitudes. There are ways you can establish habits and attitudes that you want to have, and then you consciously go about creating them in your own life.
right, yeah. In fact, well, what we were talking about before is getting into the habit of seeing yourself surrounded by what it is you'd like to create right before you drift off to sleep. That's one way to start to change, start to instruct your subconscious mind.
One of the things that I teach, in my writing and in my life and in my work all the time, is you should not get out of bed until you can greet the day. So that means I'm in the habit of doing meditation work and prayer work before I even put my feet on the ground to start the day. Now that's a habit, and
That's
once
a
I've
great
trained
habit.
myself to the habit, I don't even have to set alarms to do that.
Wow.
I wake up automatically and do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember reading somewhere in one of Louise Hay's books that she said when she wakes up in the morning, she starts her gratitude right away. She's grateful for the bed she slept in, for the pillow, for everything about the comfortable bedding, and she starts there, and then she just continues her day, and it's really.
Well, you know that old expression?
What's that?
The old expression, you made the bed, now lie in it?
Yeah, that's true.
Right,
And
well,
if you made a nice bed, you should we're
should be
all
grateful
making our
for
beds and laying in it.
Yeah.
And if you made a nice bed, you should definitely spend time appreciating your nice bed and your nice room and your nice space and the fact that you had a nice bed and a nice space. There's so many ways
There's
to
so
get
many.
yourself into gratitude before you get up.
Yeah.
But most people are not in that habit. They're in the
No.
habit of grumbling and going, "Oh God, I have stuff to do. It's too much to do. I
Exactly.
need coffee." And their first 20 minutes are filled with the upsetness of waking up instead of the joy of waking up.
Yes.
and the
But that's a
projection.
habit. That's what you've trained yourself to do.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
Yes. Yeah. It's like.
Do you ever see a bird get up in the morning and go, "I think I'm pissed off before I start singing. I have to
No.
get it together before I start expressing my joy for life"?
Exactly.
I don't think that's what.
I don't think that happens. No, instead of saying, good God, it's morning, it's good morning, God.
Yeah,
Welcome
right,
the
right.
next day.
And you see how that's an attitude shift.
Yeah.
That's just the attitude with which you're approaching life. It's the way you're going to receive information that comes to you.
Yeah. And actually, that is an excellent suggestion to start your day, as well as, if you can get yourself into the habit of drifting off to sleep in a good place and then waking up excited, setting your intentions for the new day, and while you're getting ready, seeing yourself doing whatever it is you would like to accomplish that day. That really, we can talk about this all night long, but if someone that's listening just decides to, just for the heck of it, try it, that's the big thing.
Exactly.
When you prove it to yourself in your own life, it's worth 1,000 words. It really is.
all of these tools, they're so great. Just experiment. Try it, see if it works. But I think going to sleep that way with that positive expectation and then waking up in a state of gratitude, those two habits sound like they would really build upon each other, kind of bracketing your day with that consciousness of that positive consciousness. Boy, wouldn't that would be great.
Definitely.
If the camera were on me, I would be nodding affirmatively.
That'll happen.
Good to know.
That will happen. Yeah. Well, there were so many things that you talked about in this new book, Obvious Power. One of the things that I jumped out at me too was how you were talking about how you really need to get clear, very clear about what it is you'd like to manifest in your life, and you talk a little bit about that because sometimes I don't think people understand that if you just say I just want to. I want to feel better, or I want this, or I want that. You've got to get a little bit more clear. Not that you actually outline it, but so you can allow the universe to give it to you. But you need to get clear so you're not all over the map about something.
Well, I mean that's pretty much like say, I would like my life to be better, but I don't know what that would look like.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Very difficult for the universe, which is happening in your subconscious mind, to respond to that kind of clarity. In fact, if that's what you're asking for, that's probably what you're getting. Because you don't know what you're asking for, you're getting something that looks like you don't know what it is.
Right. Yeah.
So you jumped in, you threw in a word that we would know inside of New Thought metaphysics, and that word is outlining. Well, what we mean is you don't need to know that your new job is with IBM on 43rd Street. You don't know what your new job is like or where it's going to be, but you could visualize or imagine yourself around people that were buoyant and fun to work with, that were happy to be working with a boss who was creative, that were getting accolades for accomplishing and maybe getting bonus checks. You could imagine all kinds of things without having to say what company it's coming from or what the boss's name is.
Exactly.
You follow?
Yeah.
You're trying to get a sense, a feeling of what the life you would imagine would look like. If you really look at the two books, It's So Easy When You Know How, and the new one, Obvious Power, I mentioned, which is available on Amazon. Those two books really are 20 years of my life, where the premise of It's So Easy When You Know How asked the question. Goethe, the German philosopher, said, it's difficult to turn your thoughts into things. And I said in 1999, when I wrote that first book, I said, no, that's not difficult at all. Thoughts become things. That's pretty normal for thoughts to become things.
Yes, exactly.
What's really difficult is to figure out what you want and to get your thoughts to start thinking what you want.
Yeah. That's
See
the
the difference?
challenge. Oh, absolutely. That's the challenge.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you said
So when you start looking at it, well, then how do I do that? I mean, obviously there's stuff in It's So Easy that talks about these general ideas that we're talking about, framing yourself pattern. And this new one really talks about mechanisms that are not controversial. It is, attitudes don't belong to New Thought people any more than they belong to Christians or Jews or Muslims or Buddhists or anybody else.
Of course.
Neither do habits. These are universal things. And these are universal mechanisms which God has given to everybody, which they can use to create the kind of life they would imagine. But if you don't ever imagine that life, it's going to be very difficult to create it.
Yeah. We're always doing it all the time anyway, whether we understand it or not.
Correct.
Right.
You're imagining, when you're not paying attention to what you're thinking, which is what most people are doing, it's listening to the morning news, it's repeating the disasters in the Middle East, it's wondering about the kids in Syria, it wants to know whether it's going to get my next check from, want to know if the boss really likes me. I mean, you're going on with all kinds of subconscious thoughts that are filled with fear, doubt, negation, and most people don't even know it.
No.
Right, that's like the default pattern. In Mary Manon Morrissey's Prosperity Course, she talked about creating your life by design or by default. So when you're not thinking on purpose about what you do want, your mind is thinking in its default patterns, your habit patterns, like you call them. So
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most, again, what we talk about, and Buddha has been talking about this for thousands of years. Jesus spoke about it too. You constantly hear this term "wake up," but wake up is not like literally I'm asleep.
No.
It means you're not conscious of what's going through your own mentality.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Waking up is to become conscious of what's going through your own mentality. And I've been doing this work for 25 years, and I have because I'm a public guy, I have good practices. I have some good habits. Yeah, I don't mean I'm perfect by any means, but I've learned to give myself some good habits. And some of those good habits include, prayer and meditation on a daily basis. It includes affirmative prayer. It includes mindfulness. It includes this capacity we have to visualize and vision into the life of possibilities. It includes a walk with the presence, which comes out of the fact that you recognize you're an eternal creator. You get interested in this thing that gave you this mechanism that creates everything.
Yeah.
And you start really understanding it. And this is what all of the saints and sages and masters and poets were talking about when they said waking up. It didn't mean get out of bed.
No.
It literally meant get out of the bed of your sleeping mind.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And once you catch the, I don't know what to say, catch the hunger for this information. I mean, I know for myself, I could sit for hours on my couch and just think about these ideas and think about this stuff. And then you really realize how each one of us has played a big part in creating the life that we're now experiencing.
The central part.
Yes.
The central role.
Yes.
Others have a part, but you're the central creator.
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
But, and also it's not just contemplating, it's what shows up in your regular life.
Yes.
I got a great story. We just came back from doing a seminar in the UK.
Oh.
And we were traveling around from the UK and into Ireland before we came home. And we're traveling with a friend of ours, my wife and me and a friend of ours. And we're in a little tiny car because the roads are very small and the parking places are very small. And we pull into this little beach community, and it looks like there's no parking places. And I'm waiting for a spot that looks like it's right there, and somebody jumps in front of me and takes that spot. Well, if you don't understand, you're going to allow yourself to think that somebody just took your spot. Well, the reality is no one can take your good from you. And so if you're awake, and when somebody, my friend said that, well, they just took your spot, I said, no, that wasn't my spot, because no one can rob us of my good, or rob me of my good. And I turned around the corner, and right there, facing the water, was an even better spot.
There was your spot.
Nobody could see. It looked like it was hidden.
Yes.
But you see, we have to call ourselves through our habits and attitudes to not just hear these ideas and think about these ideas, but to live with them and not let ourselves fall asleep and say, oh, well, somebody took my spot. That means I'm out of it. Well, that's just ridiculous.
Yes.
There's an infinite good, and nobody can take your good from you. But if you don't know that, and your expectation is you're going to get robbed, you're going to get robbed.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good advice for all situations. If someone doesn't get the job that they applied for, or the house falls through, and just to be able to say to them that it's not your job, it's not your house. The next best house is on its way. So just
That's
trust.
right.
Trust and know.
Those are attitudes. You frame yourself. Now, you and I, and all three of us, can make that kind of statement because we've looked at the wholeness of life. We've looked at the source, and we know where it's coming from. So that's what, that's why I'm glad you say that you're here every week, because it takes a long time to get our mind to get a hold of all of the possible ideas of what might be the true human potential.
Oh, absolutely.
And what I think is humans are much more wonderful and are entitled to much more wonder and joy than what we have called the human race.
Oh, thank you for that. That's so true.
It's true.
That is so true. I always say everyone's included, no one's left out.
Right.
I always say that in my healing meditations, so that anyone sitting there that may think, oh, this works for everybody else but not me, I want to bring them back into it and say, yes, you sitting there, doubtful Thomas, I'm talking to you too. So right now we have to go to a commercial break. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back with Spirituality Rocks. And I do think we will have Dr. Harry on Skype when we come back. So thanks very much.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow joyfully, joyfully, I am divine.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Dow. We have a multidiscipline practice in Melville and Ronkonkoma, New York, and we treat patients with many, many different conditions, from newborns through geriatric patients with numerous different techniques. There's a technique and a type of treatment for every class of patient. We have them all here. Here's my son Thomas, also a doctor of chiropractic, working on one of our patients' cervical spine. This patient has had chronic neck pain for many, many, many years, has been to a multitude of different practitioners with little or no response. And with our specialized techniques, she has improved tremendously and continues to improve on a daily basis. We have two practices, one in Melville and one in Ronkonkoma, New York. We are a multidiscipline chiropractic office. What that means is we have chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, psychologists, all working as a team and a network of outside professionals such as orthopedists and neurologists that we work hand in hand with to help determine what your injuries are and the best way to treat your injuries. I have the great pleasure of having my son in practice with me. We work hand in hand, father and son, to give our patients the best care possible, and a staff which is loving, caring, and you'll never have to wait at all in our office for service. Many times patients come into our office and they have what's called a soft tissue injury. Soft tissue injuries are like scars inside your body. If you've ever been cut on the outside of your body, you get a scar. The same thing happens inside of your body to your muscles and ligaments. So our job is to determine where those are, stretch the muscles, adjust the vertebra back into their correct position, and then refortify the normal structure with exercise. That's what we do best, and I hope someday you'll come see us at one of our two offices. Thank you.
Are you planning an event and want to include entertainment, but you're not sure where to turn? Act1Entertainment.net has provided over 1,500 events with quality, affordable live entertainment at private parties, corporate affairs, festivals, bike rallies, and more. Act 1 will fit into your budget. They're friendly, reliable, and do all the legwork for you. They take all major credit cards. Log on to Act1Entertainment.net for a free, no-obligation price quote, or call 631-758-3505 for a brochure. You'll be happy you did.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully.
I have to look straight ahead. Right?
Welcome back. And let me introduce to you, live and in color, Dr. Harry Morgan Moses. So we've been having a wonderful conversation. There he is. There he is. See, just as I promised. Very cute face. Barbara said, stop flirting. Well, not flirting, but yeah. So we've been having a wonderful conversation with Dr. Harry. And maybe now you can hold up your new book, Obvious Power.
Oh,
yeah.
I do have it, actually.
Yeah,
Funny you
just
should
happen to
mention
have a
it.
copy. Upside down.
Oh, it's upside down. There it is,
Yeah.
right there.
Oh, easy
It probably-
to
it looks
find.
like this is the Chinese version.
Oh,
not
okay.
just-
There it is. Obvious Power.
There it is. It's available at Amazon or Divorce, any way you want to get it. It's
Yes.
easy to find.
Very
Excellent.
easy to find. Yes.
Excellent.
And an excellent, excellent investment for anybody that's really interested in changing your life for the better and getting some really great stories and some great tools to use. And that reminds me, that's another thing. What I loved about both books is that they're so user-friendly. They're very easy to understand. And it's like you're talking to the person when you read these books. And you tell some really great stories. And I think that's such a great teaching tool when you can show examples of real-life situations where people used these ideas, these principles, and were able to really move forward in a good way in their lives. So thank you for that, because I know that that's really the way I learn, is when I give me an example. Give me an example. Show me how it worked. Don't just talk about it like it's a wonderful...
Right. I think that's what people are looking for. They want to, for you to share how it works for you. And then they can try what you've tried and see if you've demonstrated something, they can try it too. It's very important.
Yeah.
And I agree with Karen. I do want to say, I think it's wonderful that the books are written in modern language that's accessible to people. The classics, Ernest Holmes, Dr. Barker, they're wonderful, but people really, I think, resonate to the modern way of talking.
Yeah.
It's
And we
it's the
want to
way we
reach
really
everyone.
talk.
You know, Troward, they're all
Well,
great. There's wonderful wisdom.
Yeah.
But that's not going to speak to everyone.
Well, and we're in a very different age. I mean, I'm a dad and I'm soon to be a granddad in the next
Oh.
couple of weeks here,
Right.
and you don't realize it that as you're maturing, there are generations coming up behind us that have a different background. In other words, when I was in school, I went to a private school, but this was before you weren't allowed to pray in school, and we did the Pledge of Allegiance and the Lord's Prayer every day.
Oh, yes.
And that was when there was still could be centering prayers in regular schools and so on and so forth. Well, that integrated for me part of my Judeo-Christian history. So when I began to learn about New Thought, and I had to learn about New Thought because the doctors who didn't know about New Thought said I was going to die or that I wouldn't be able to walk again.
Yes, when you were
So
in an accident.
I needed to know something different because their answers weren't working for me, right? So I was highly motivated to integrate all of this stuff. And what it did for me, that crisis in my life, it quickened my desire to know these things. And that's how I became such a fast student, and I've been a student for 25 years since, right? And it keeps growing. Your understanding grows, and then as these generations become from behind us, I'm not trying to help them understand the Lord's Prayer. Most of them never even heard the Lord's Prayer.
Yes.
And
yes.
some of them, if they did, it was in their old church, and part of the thing they didn't understand that they left as soon as they were old enough to leave. So we're in a very different place in terms of helping people to understand the nature of what we would call your true self. And this true self doesn't belong to, as I said earlier, it doesn't belong to any religion, it doesn't belong to any tradition, it doesn't belong to New Thought. This is the supreme design.
Right.
That God itself gave itself to its own creation, that it could discover itself. And those words, even though they've been around since the Hindu texts, until they become personal to you and you go, oh my God, it doesn't mean much, right? You know,
Exactly.
and that's where we're in this interesting gap of trying to educate people who are convinced that the old education or the old knowledge or the old religion didn't have the truth that they need, whereas there's always been truth in all of it, and each of us have to draw that truth and begin to integrate something in our own hearts of what we believe is so. And just as you were saying, the nice thing about so many different New Thought writers was you couldn't say, you know, Ernest Holmes is the writer in New Thought, or you couldn't say the Fillmores are the writer in New Thought, or because there are so many throughout time, and they've dedicated their lives to it. You know, everything from Neville to Emmett Fox to Joseph Murphy to, you know, go down the line.
Oh yeah.
All so many wonderful teachers in their day writing to their generation.
Their audience.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you and I, meaning the three of us and Janine, we're now having to figure out how to communicate this universal truth, which is not just for our generation, it's for all generations.
And it's always been.
How do we find the language and the way to keep making it accessible?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so that people aren't so afraid of identifying or connecting with something.
Right. And
Because
it's not
there's a lot
something we
of
made
good
up.
value in connecting.
Right. It's not something we made up. This is the wisdom of the ages that's always been out there. It might have been covered up or with dogma, doctrine, and other, you know, other ideas, but when you get to the real meat, the real crux of all religions, this wisdom shines through. And what we're talking about here was always an idea, was always out here. It just wasn't so obvious. I was just going to say obvious power. That obvious power wasn't so obvious.
Yeah,
Right. It's true.
And that's the key. You know, on my at my center on Pass Avenue in Burbank, we have a marquee sign, right? And old school that you put the plastic letters on it, you know.
Oh,
and
I love that.
And it says obvious power available within.
Oh, great.
Right? Now, obviously, the book is available within.
Yeah, I was going to say, stop inside and buy a book.
Power is available within. That's where it is.
Yeah.
And most people are clueless, you know. And something as simple as habits and attitudes are how you access that power.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, before we go on, I was going to ask practitioner Barbara Grimminger to just do what we call a spiritual mind treatment. It's our form of affirmative prayer. And what we do is we just speak the word as if it's all the way Jesus spoke. Act as if and say it as if it's already done. Right. So, what is it that you'd like to give us?
I would like to do
today?
a treatment for each and every one listening to be able to utilize their obvious power.
Excellent.
So I think I better do a quick one because we're almost out of time.
No, they're going to give us a little extra time.
Oh, okay. So let's know and affirm together that there is one universal life, and that life is spirit. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. That life is the power that created each one of us out of itself. Each one of us is one with that life. Each one of us is made of its perfect divine substance, therefore we are perfect, whole, and complete. Each one of us embodies its nature. Therefore we know we have infinite love within, infinite intelligence, infinite wholeness, power, abundance, and peace. And we know that contained within this life is everything we need to feel good in mind, body, and spirit. And contained within this life is everything we need to know that what we do, our actions and our affairs, are successful and fulfilling. The life that created us can only support us. This is the truth. We co-create with spirit. We have the power to think good thoughts, to develop good beliefs and good habitudes. And this engages the obvious power within, the obvious power to co-create. And we're so happy and grateful to be in this position, to have this awareness, to have this ability. We are blessed. And right here and now, we release all doubts and fears. Anything that tells us it can't be so, we release it right here and now. And as we turn away from fear, we know that truth flows in, and that we can trust Spirit, and that we can trust ourselves to create a life by design, to create a life worth living, and to demonstrate each and every day that God is good and that life is good. And with great gratitude, this word is released into the law, and so it is.
Oh, and so it is. Thank you. That
You're
was
welcome.
great. And that really, you used both titles of Dr. Harry's book in your treatment, so that really sums up our time together. You know, it really is. It's so easy when you know how, and when you use that obvious power. But until you allow yourself to just take a moment and take a look at this stuff. You know, that's really, you start wherever you are and you begin, and it just creates a life of so much joy. So in closing, Dr. Harry, anything else you'd like to point out from the book, or anything else you'd like to mention?
There's a video that I did for the National Nurses Association. You can look it up. It's called the NNU video, and it's about this hospital administrator, and it's a character thing, and so it's done to sort of point out that you need to keep humanness in nursing and that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And it's a nonprofit thing to support the Nurses Association, and it's just a video little skit that they had me do with them. Anyway. The nice thing about that is that they, after the skit, and they're now going forward for their convention, they were so pleased with the video and the skit, they wanted to make a bobblehead out of me. I thought, well, that's a very high honor to have someone make a bobblehead. And that just happened this week, where they asked if they could make a bobblehead out of me.
Oh, that's so funny.
And then to be on the show with you the next day and to have a treatment include both of my book titles. I feel so honored. I don't know what else to say.
You're going to be the first New Thought bobblehead. I think that's pretty major.
Bobblehead.
I want one. We'll put it right here on the set.
Yes, please. We'll keep it out here when we do the show. Dr. Harry is always with us, no matter whether he's...
See you guys. Send my love to Janine and give my regards to Broadway. I'll be coming out there on September 30th. I'll be out there.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, it was just absolutely wonderful to have you. We love you. We bless you and your family. And just thank you so much for being with us today. And everyone, again, please pick up either It's So Easy When You Know How or Obvious Power. It will enrich your life and really just bring you so much information in such an easy to understand and very entertaining way. As you can see when you listen to Dr. Harry, how he writes, how he talks is how he writes. And so it's very, very, very worthwhile. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Okay? Bye now.
Bless.
And so at the end of each segment, we always like to remind you that the song you hear at the beginning of the segment is from Dr. Janine's Tunes for Transformation CD. And if you'd like to and what she did was she took a bunch of affirmations and she set them to music. And if you'd like to have a copy of that, which I know would totally enhance your life, and it's fun to listen to. They really are wonderful. What you can do is send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Dr. Janine Burns, Post Office Box 472, Woodbury, New York, and the zip is 11797. And you just need to make a donation of $10, and we'll be happy to send you that CD. So thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you so much to Barbara, my beautiful co-host.
Been so much fun.
And this has been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, and we'll see you again next time. So just remember that spirituality rocks.